Today, we're talking about the review scores for the latest Assassin's Creed game, Shadows. Monster Hunter is one of the best-selling games of the year so far, and we're breaking down the latest controversy around Ark Survival Evolved. Is it really that bad? Stick around to find out. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, your weekly gaming news roundup. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my sensational swarm of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matthew Moulding.
Hey now.
We've got a lot of great stories to hop into, so let's get those headlines of the week. First up, Moulding, you had the Assassin's Creed review roundup scores for us. How's it looking?
Yeah, so Assassin's Creed Shadows released yesterday on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox, and at the moment, it has been very well received. At least more well received than expected, considering the discussion around it online the past 6 months or so. Today, it actually hit 1 million sales, so that's pretty good. But as of yesterday, from the critic response, it's rocking an 81 on both OpenCritic and Metacritic, with 75 critic reviews on the latter. So what are the critics saying? Well, VG247 gave it a perfect 100 score, saying, "There are problems with Assassin's Creed Shadows for sure, but it's so fun to play. It's telling a gripping story, and there is so much sense of progress and reward for every little thing you do that it actually feels like an open world game that's taking its cues from a modern roguelike or something." So that's pretty interesting. I thought that I like that review a lot. IGN wasn't quite as rosy, giving it an 80, which is better than the 70 we all joke around that it gives games all the time. Writing, "By sharpening the edges of its existing systems, Assassin's Creed Shadows creates one of the best versions of the open world style it's been honing for the last decade." And then we have on the low end, Dual Shockers clocking the T. "Assassin's Creed Shadows is a bloated collection of uninspired quests that quickly turn into a repetitive, boring grind. While the art and history teams deserve recognition for their efforts, it's all unfortunately wasted on a narrative that goes nowhere, is poorly explained, and has no satisfying resolutions. None of the changes and tweaks that Ubisoft brought to the table move the needle, and the game is ultimately more frustrating than it is fun. There are other open world games in similar settings that are much more worthy of your time." So, gentlemen, what do you think? Now knowing that what critics think of the game, does that move the needle for you at all? Will you be picking this one up?
Lord?
Anyone?
I just think, those, what was the other game that got some sus reviews? Because I'm thinking we're in the same boat with this one. I just don't know if Shadows is quite the game as the critics would lead us to believe. I'm just wondering, I feel like this has to be like one of those games that is just collection after collection, just bloated city. I agree with that. Unfortunately, the lower view. I haven't been, like I said, I haven't played, but just the way the previous Assassin's Creeds have been going, I don't see them veering away from that. And it's just funny that they were also giving a shout out to like the historical things when they were saying that this game is not even historically accurate. So I think there's just a lot of contradictory stuff going on. I don't know. I'm going to miss this one, boys.
I gotta kind of agree with you. Look, I love Ubisoft. They've made some amazingly fun games over the years, but creatively, I think they're a little bit bankrupt. And I hate to say it and sound so harsh, but it's true. In fact, I'm a little bitter because I currently am playing Assassin's Creed Mirage. And that one was billed as like a return to its roots and more stealth. And really what they did is they just took out the combat, so you can't use it very well. Your character is very weak, and they force you to use stealth because there's no combat in it, and they called it an improvement and a return to form. F that and F them. They have a serious problem, and they need to fix it. I hope this is it. I will play this game eventually. I'll pick it up when it's like $12, like I did Assassin's Creed. But I'm still bitter about Mirage. But I'm not bitter about Shadows. I want to believe. I want them to get a win. They need help. And we constantly hear the rumors that they're being fattened up for sale, with it Microsoft and EA might be looking at them to actually buy their IPs, and not exactly them. So I want them to win because I have such good memories of them, but the cookie cutter nature of that franchise is exhausting. And I gotta agree, I think some of those reviews are sus too. I have hope in my heart. I'm definitely gonna play it, but I'm not gonna buy it day one. Molding, what do you think?
So I'm going to push back on one thing Lord said about the historically accurate
Mhm.
thing. I mean, this game is like, I think monkeys, like aliens came down and wanted to enslave monkeys, and like that's the basis, I think, for the whole franchise. Like that's the whole thing. That's what
What?
I read today. That was
Oh,
like the basis. So it doesn't need to be historically accurate for me
No,
at all. And
no,
I
no.
think 81 is better than we've been trained to think that this game was going to be like a 40 like score game, and an 81 is not the best game in the world, but it's certainly not terrible. And maybe the game Lord you're thinking of is Avowed, because that game got a bunch of good scores, and I thought that game was poo-poo, was just
Yeah. I think it
really
was
bad.
Veilguard. I think a Veilguard
Oh,
was the one that got
maybe
like
so.
really called out
That
for
also,
like the
yeah.
sus reviews.
Yeah.
I,
So I also agree. I'm not going to spend $70 on it. I maybe 30. Maybe it's when it's at a 30 thing. I love the fact that they got rid of the eagle. I read that yesterday, that the eagle is no more, and now you just use your vision. You press that button, and you can see people through walls. And then Dan, when you said that about the combat, I don't want combat, really. I want stealth. So
yeah,
Mirage sounds like that would be a lot of fun if there's not a lot of combat in there and that it's a lot of stealth. Like that sounds like that might be right up my alley. I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I'd like
well,
to
Dan,
what
give it a try.
oh,
I
sorry.
think what's exciting about this one, Molding, is that while I didn't care for the stealth, the nice thing about this one is they have the dual protagonists, so that you
Yeah.
can be the Naue and Yasuke, and you can do the
Yeah.
different sorts of action or stealth. So they are at least put the work in and they built it. I'm just still sitting over here bitter about Mirage, and that left such a bad taste in my mouth that I can't jump in day one. But I do think that they've
Valhalla was the
addressed.
one that left a bad taste in my mouth, because the
Oh,
bloat in that game was
it was not
it was
ending. Like I
no.
was stacking rocks for days, like stacking
Yeah.
rocks for days and days.
And I don't need
Seriously.
to run across 15 minutes of emptiness to get to the next place just because they want a big game. Like condensed game with lots of stuff in there to do, I'm all about. So hopefully that is more this one than other. I don't know that the story, if it's a bad story, I don't know if that concerns me. I want fun gameplay. I don't know. I don't come to Assassin's Creed for the story. I come to the fun assassination.
I will say, Odyssey, I think really nailed. Like there
Yeah,
was a lot in that game,
it's a
but it
peak
never
peak of the
felt.
series.
Yeah, it never felt overwhelming. Like it always felt like, all right, this is manageable. But there's so much cool stuff to go and see. And Dan, you recommended me that one, and you were definitely not wrong. Let me ask you this though, Dan. If they were to go back to like the Ezio, like if they were
Ezio,
It's
to
Mhm.
Ezio, like if they were to go back and revive that character, go heavy stealth, single protagonist, would that pique your interest at all? Or you think we can't even go in that direction at this point?
I think Mirage is tired. Because it was focused on stealth. I think they need to return to the action, and I like the um, what they're doing here with the dual protagonists. What I think they need to do is take a complete reset of everything in the series. Take a look at other games. They need to they invent like three mini games and three mission types, and then they repeat that, and it's just a cookie cutter stamp. And Far Cry is the same way. I'm not saying this is just a problem with Assassin's Creed. This literally is the same thing. Avowed did the same thing. They built a land, they've got side missions, they've got their main missions, and it's rinse and repeat. And so it's a problem a lot of video games have, but Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed has overdone it here. And I think that's why they need to return to form. I love Molding's ideas. Hey, make an Assassin's Creed that's much smaller and that does much different things, and it's not as tedious and bloated. And I think if they can just do those two things, that's all we're asking. They'll be on the right track.
Great
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah,
I
and
love
I
it
think
too.
unfortunately for them, this one's always going to be compared to Ghost of Tsushima, and that game was fantastic.
Great point.
Yeah.
Ghost. Oh boy, good stuff right there.
Yeah. All right, well, moving on, we have better news, and that is Monster Hunter Wilds is making headlines again for this 3 weeks in a row. Apparently, thanks to Circana and Mass Piscatella releasing some numbers, Monster Hunter Wilds was February's best-selling game in the US, and GameSpot even said it's the best-selling game of the year. And more than half of its sales are coming from Steam. So I wanted to dive into this for 1 second. I thought this was very interesting. This is an article that comes from Francesco De Mio from WCCF Tech. It says, according to data shared today by Circana, the latest entry in the series by Capcom was the overall best-selling premium game in the United States, topping the sales charts of every platform it released on: PlayStation 5, Series Xbox Series and the Steam, followed by 2 other February releases, Kingdom Come Deliverance and Civ 7. While the game sold great on all platforms, it was a smashing success on Steam, as the PC ecosystem accounted for more than half of the title's total dollar sales. With the game also being a current best-selling game of the year in the United States, it definitely looks like the first proper simultaneous PC and console release for the series paid off big time. That Monster Hunter Wilds has been a smashing success, there was no doubt, as Capcom itself reported that it sold 8 million copies in only 3 days, becoming the fastest selling game in the publisher's history. And just so you know, and if you're curious, some of the best selling games of February were: number 1, Monster Hunter, of course; number 2, Kingdom Come Deliverance; 3, Civ 7; 4, PGA Tour 2025. And that's where the new games stop for a second. Then 5 is NBA 2K25, 6, Call of Duty Black Ops. Then 7 was Avowed. Interesting that maybe some Game Pass did affect some sales there, because it's not as high, but it was definitely high profile. Number 8, Like a Dragon; 9, Grand Theft Auto 5; and 10, Madden NFL 2025. So I thought that was interesting just to talk about. But really, I'm curious about PC game sales and making this up, and this platform release that they did, where it wasn't just on console, it was on PC. It was buggy and controversial on PC, and yet still amazing sales. What do you guys make of it?
It's genius. We're going to see a lot more of this. I guaranteed everyone's going to take note. We're not going to see any delay between console and PC releases. This is going to become the norm, which totally makes sense. Like, if that were to be, if that were to be the norm, I could really see PC like taking off big time in that space. So, what do you think, Malding?
They need to make, if they do, they need to make sure that those PC ports, I guess they're technically not ports at this point, but they need to make sure that they aren't buggy messes. That's that. If they keep on doing that, they're going to keep, it's going to be death by a thousand cuts. Like, eventually people won't be purchasing these games day one. If they're just going to be filled with bugs, they'll wait until, until the PC fan base beta tests their games and then works all the bugs out. Just want to put it out there. My review of Monster Hunter Wilds came out yesterday, so check out our YouTube channel for that. I really dug the game, and
And
I
we'll
gave
link
it a
to it
pretty
for
good.
the YouTube video right up here. So
Perfect.
be sure
It
to
was a
click on it.
great
right
review, Malding. I
there.
loved it.
Yeah.
Thank you very
It
much.
was awesome.
Thank you. I am loving the game and having a lot of fun with it. So, more people playing Monster Hunter, the more happy I am, the happier I am about it.
I
Okay.
mean, just going back to the bugginess of the game, that is a little shocking on PC, how, because there was a lot that stirred up a lot of waves and people were not happy. And I think the Steam reviews were pretty negative the last time I had checked. So, those Steam players make their voices heard on that platform, and they'll
Yeah.
call it out
I
big
think
time in
it's
the reviews.
moved to mixed right now, but I agree with you both. I think, Molding, you hit the nail on the head. That's high risk, high reward. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that, Lord, you're correct, and that's the ideal, is having this game launch everywhere and be a big deal, because it's awesome as gamers that we all get to celebrate a new game and enjoy it at the same time. And it's not some people enjoying it now, some later. But kind of like Molly was saying, it is high risk, high reward, because when you hear that there are bugs in a game, you don't really know if it's the console version, if it's a PlayStation version, if it's the PC. You don't know where the bugs are. You just know it's known for being buggy. And that makes you take a step back, pause, put the money back in your wallet, and kind of sit there and wait. And I think, unfortunately, they potentially could have lost some sales, although apparently not too many. But I think that, other games that try the strategy could fail even harder if they're not more careful. I do think launching on PC is so much trickier because you've got such a varied install base that it's just got to be a really large task to be able to do that all at once. So, yeesh, it's a tough
True.
situation.
I just checked out the score. It's got a 3.7 right now on Steam. 6 out of 10. Yeah, a lot of 5 stars, but yeah, there's some people angry with it, which I'd be angry with it too. If I bought a game for $70 and I play it and it's just riddled with bugs, I'd be really upset as well. So
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
trying
know.
to think how they could like maybe neutralize that. Maybe they need to get an additional team in there that would just like I'm sure they already probably have it, but like a PC specialized that would just kind of like bit by bit make sure this thing is ready to launch on PC, because it seemed to work, but yeah, definitely on the buggier side, and it didn't go unnoticed.
Yeah.
Well, you got to wonder, are PC players even playing new releases? Because, Lord, you had a crazy story that was really interesting about PC players'
Yeah,
habits.
totally crazy. So PC gamers spend 92% of their time on older games. Oh, and there are apparently 908 million of us now. Wow. So
Wow.
this comes from PC Gamers Rich Stanton. Ben Porter, director of consulting at video game market intelligence company Newzoo, is giving a GDC talk this week that picks out some highlights from the firm's annual look at the state of games industry. PC Gamer was fortunate enough to get a sneak peek at the slides. The results are extrapolated from a yearly in depth survey of 73,000 players alongside data from over 10,000 games. From this, Newzoo says that PC market is growing at a steady rate with an estimated 873.5 million players in 2023, rising to 907.5 million in 2024. And I know you'll like this one, that handily beats out the console audience, of whom there were an estimated 653 million in
I
2024.
mean, that's nothing to sneeze at. That's
No,
still a big number.
no, it is. I agree. That's like not a lot. And the data further shows, in Newzoo's own words, that these 908 million out. Oh wait, in Newzoo's own words, that these 908 million PC players are heavily skewed towards older live service games. The data shows that from January 2024 to December 2024, 67% of player hours on PC were spent on a game that was 6 or more years old. A further 25% of player hours were spent on games that were 2 to 5 years old, and the remaining 8% of the time was spent on games that are less than 2 years old. So the 67% chunk is broken down like this: 7.1% total hours were on Counter-Strike 2, 6.4 were on League of Legends, 6.2 were in Roblox, 5.8 were in Dota 2, and 5.4% were in Fortnite. So wild. Like,
I don't think this is wild, that wild. I mean, when you look at it, to be honest with you, this is what I say all the time. These live service games and are the kind of games we play when we're waiting for big releases. So it's not like players have given up on big releases. We're just twiddling our thumbs and amusing ourselves while we're waiting for publishing companies to get their shit together and then entertain us with their latest products. So I think that if you looked at these numbers over the course of a year, I bet they fluctuate. In fact, I bet they fluctuate extremely hard in the opposite direction when GTA 6 comes out. So it's interesting to hear them now, but I wouldn't panic. I don't think this means like what they want it to mean. I think this is just overblown.
I think it's
I would
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
go
sorry.
Molly.
Go ahead. I would expand on that saying, too, that if you're playing a single player game, you play it for 60, 70, 80 hours. And most players are like Dan, where you probably don't play that game again. Whereas I play a lot of games over and over again to try different styles and stuff. But I think a lot of players are more of that, where, you're going to play Avowed for 80 hours and then never touch that thing ever again. Whereas these are those live service games where
Yeah.
I think Dan is completely right. You're playing those games waiting for the next game to come out.
I mean, I also just would like to throw it out there that I think gamer loyalty is a big thing. I mean, I think there's some people that find their game, whether it's a live service game or like an MMO, a single player game, and gamers seem to stick with their games. Like I've been, like I got Death Stranding ready to queue up before Death Stranding 2, like, right,
Yeah.
so there's some loyalty situation there. Like I don't know if it speaks towards, because one of the things I was like, does this speak towards like the quality of games that have been coming out? Because who knows?
Could.
But I I don't think so. I think you nailed it with just like games have, these have a longer lifespan. Like a live service game, people will pick it up throughout the year way, way more. So I think you're right. Not so much of cause for concern, but it definitely is interesting. I'm wondering when the new title will come around that will, wind up in that 67% marker and will be played for many years to come.
GTA.
Yeah.
Well, I was surprised GTA wasn't in that list that you read out of games. I was shocked that
I know.
it wasn't.
I'm
one of
actually
them.
surprised too. I mean, I'm not
No,
surprised that Counter-Strike was at the top, League of
yeah, the
Legends.
GTA, I mean, no offense. I think it's great, but the online is kind of dated. It's
Yeah.
kind of full of
Agreed, but
trolls.
you
hacked.
just read top selling games, and it's still number 8 or 9 after how long has it been out? 30 years, I think.
Okay, you got
30
me
or
there.
40? Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? Yes, 30 or 40. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, we'll see if numbers change when players get their hands on Silent Hill. I mean, we saw a new trailer this week, and I'm dying to know real quickly before we move on to the next story what you guys thought about it. And I have a quick description here. Because it wasn't exactly what I was expecting. I'm not against it, but I'm just curious to learn more. It says the Silent Hill F trailer introduces a haunting 1960s Japanese setting following protagonist Hinako Shimizu as she navigates the eerie town of Sugata.
Ubisoft?
Yeah, bingo, nailed it. Initially serene, the atmosphere quickly shifts as crimson spider lilies, symbols of death, appear and grotesque fungus-covered creatures emerge. The trailer emphasizes psychological horror, blending themes of internal struggle and surreal terror with a striking departure from the series' industrial aesthetic in favor of an organic decay. The score, composed by Akira Yamaoka, focuses on traditional Japanese instruments with ambient horror, enhancing the unsettling tone. Altogether, the trailer sets up Silent Hill F as a unique and deeply atmospheric addition to the franchise. Keyword here being unique. This is not the Silent Hill that we're used to. Lord, what are your thoughts?
No, I agree with you there. I think it's definitely moving away from that industrial feel that we know and love. But lucky for us, I love the Japanese village setting. Like that setting is great. Siren, Fatal Frame, Kuon. Some of those games are just fantastic. So I'm thinking if they go in that direction, we could have a really cool game on our hand. And on top of that, I thought the trailer was way better than what I was expecting. I didn't know what we were going to go with. It's cool that they're going with sort of that fungus theme, which I feel like has been recurring with some of the games. I know it's been used a ton. No, you don't like? You're not in?
No, I don't want to cut you off, but you're so right. Like I was thinking the fungus thing is like, oh, can we stop? Like Avowed just did it, and Last of Us did it, and this did it, and I'm like, I had a complete opposite reaction. I hated the trailer, but I'm glad that you liked it.
Whoa.
So you can continue to talk about it.
No, I thought it looked pretty cool. It kind of closes with a face getting cut off. I was like, wait, I think we're onto something. I think
Okay,
And
the face
yeah,
peel. You had me at a face peel.
yeah.
I like a good face peel. I'm not gonna
No,
lie
for
about that.
sure.
One.
The face
Yeah,
peel was a surprise. I didn't expect that at all. And I just think, I think we mentioned it, Silent Hill 3, the protagonist there, just like scared girl running through a Silent Hill maze is a pretty chilling, adventure. So I think they could cook with this one if
yeah.
it comes together correctly. So
Well,
we'll
here's
see.
what has me nervous about this one.
Yeah.
It goes back to that the sample that they released. The Dead
Yes.
Call, or what was it called? The something call or something like that. It was that free thing that came out
Hmm.
last year, and it was a girl, and it was cerebral horror, and she was running around an apartment building. And boy, it was just not your traditional Silent Hill. And look, it doesn't have to be the same. I'm open to new ideas. I want to love it. I'm so used to like that Silent Hill being that mysterious foggy town in Maine with the different protagonists that we're used to, and I miss the guitar riffs like kicking in like roar, and all that sort of stuff. That's classic Silent Hill. And yet they completely got away with all of the elements. No, none of that industrial like rust or sirens or different worlds. And they did do a very organic look that seems to be very, very popular.
Yeah.
They did, change the series to, its homeland of where it was created. So that's interesting. It's just, they threw out so much. I was like, it doesn't look like Silent Hill to me. There were no hallmarks that I could call back to, or there was nothing. They threw out absolutely everything, it appeared to me, other than the cerebral horror part, which is not my favorite. There was a lot of like screaming in the trailer, and she's holding her head and crawling around a lot. And for me, that's not a party.
I agree. There was a lot of
So
that.
yeah, so I want to like it. I'm not going to judge it yet, but I didn't like my first look at the trailer. But that doesn't mean I'm not willing to come around. It just shocked me, I guess, and it shocked me in a way that I didn't expect. That's all.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
wait,
what do you think?
I'm chomping at the bit here a
Go,
little
Molly.
bit because we just had a segment or two ago where we were like, you got to mix up the Assassin's Creed style. You got to, and here is a game that has done a few of the same games and now is mixing it up, and you seem a little upset about it. So I just want to,
But it's gone. Yeah.
call that out a little bit.
No, I appreciate that, but because it's gone too far. When Lord mentioned like Fatal Frame or something like that, that's what this looked like. I expected to see a camera and ghosts because it looked so much like a different game. This is like if you created a game that was, something like Dead Rising, and then you turned around and called it the new Assassin's Creed. That's the jarring juxtaposition that happened in my brain, where it was like, whoa, this looks like so many of the other J horror stuff that I've seen over the years and loved and played and that sort of stuff. And it's Silent Hill, which is just, I'm open, and I'm saying I'm open to it though. I'm open to it. But
Yeah.
it's just a huge shift.
And the other thing I just want to mention too is, yes, I agree with the fungus thing. That seems to be recently an overused thing, but how many zombie games where it's just a zombie, where it's been a zombie apocalypse, there's
Sure.
hundreds of those. I think what we want to see is a new take on a zombie that's not fungus and not regular. That would be nice to see. I'm not a Silent Hill person. I don't even know if they are zombies. I don't know what the deal is here. So I just wanted to point that out.
What's your take on flower monsters, Malding?
I mean, the 3 or 30 hours I put into Avowed, I don't want to see a flower monster ever again, to be honest.
And I have pretty bad allergies, so this scares me. That's all I'm saying.
So
I do love mushrooms, though.
The one they did kind of have like that tweaking looking mannequin.
Okay,
that
that's
was kind of
one thing. Yes,
one
that is.
thing,
I
yes.
agree.
Because
Thank you for calling that out, because that's the one thing I liked.
Yes, and that was very Silent Hill. So I was like, okay, we're kind of doing that same thing, but I am concerned if it's just flower monsters, we're gonna have a problem. I'm just saying that right now. I'm not into flower monsters.
Yeah,
So.
but I
How
want
about some
this game.
vegetable monsters? Can we get a cauliflower or a broccoli? Let's throw
eggplant,
something new
please.
in there.
Oh, I got flashbacks from my childhood when my parents would make me sit there and finish my vegetables. Like, that's true nightmare
Oh,
fuel.
the spinach monster is coming to get you.
Exactly. No, I want this to be great because I love Konami and they have such a rich history, and I would love to see them just start making more and more games.
It does.
I think I was caught off guard. I really want to like this, but I have to
Yeah.
see gameplay.
Me too.
I mean,
That's the next
yeah,
step.
that's always the case.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely interesting. Oh, speaking of interesting and controversial trailers, though, Ark, the internet's
Oof.
flipping out. Malding, what's going on?
Yeah, well, we all know that I love me some Ark. Pulled this from PC Gamer. PC Gamer also loves their long titles. Rich Stanton has this story. New
Rich.
Ark DLC gets AI generated trailer so awful that the original developer is washing his hands with the whole thing, and fans are in an uproar saying, "This is disgusting and you should be ashamed." That literally is the full title of this article. I love PC Gamer. It's been an odd week for Ark fans with a new tease for Ark Survival Ascended DLC The Lost Colony launching this November, featuring a blink and you'll miss it mention of Ark 2. This came alongside the announcement of an expansion for Ark Survival Evolved from developer Snail Games called Ark Aquatica, which is, well, a lot of people think it looks like AI slop. To clarify, Ark Survival Ascended is the remade version of Survival Evolved, developed by the original company, and now Survival Evolved is being handled by US based Snail Games, which put out this Aquatica DLC. The trailer begins with a few seconds of in-game first-person footage, which is exactly like Ark, but the remainder moves into a series of what seems like self-evidently AI-generated underwater scenes. Everything is slightly off. The colors look weird, with featureless blacked-out fish next to dazzlingly bright coral formations. The animations are just not right, with an octopus emerging from the water and then seemingly hovering above the surface. And the transitions are terrible, particularly the trailer's end, where a tentacle touches an ugly ass coral encrusted logo. One of the biggest Ark content creators, Syntax, said simply, "This is disgusting and you should be ashamed of yourselves." Over on the Ark subreddit, the reaction is the same. Widespread disgust mixed with disbelief that Snail Games ever thought this would fly. Studio Wildcard itself couldn't distance itself from Ark Aquatica fast enough, saying Ark Aquatica is being developed by Snail Games, USA, Colorado. Please follow them for more updates. Which that's harsh. That's a little shade. Studio Wildcard said on the Games X account, Studio Wildcard remains entirely dedicated to the production of Ark Survival Ascended and Ark 2, and we're excited to bring Ark Lost Colony to you later this year. You can see the trailer here and judge for yourself. Did you take a look? Did you find this as offensive as I do? It really does look terrible with no gameplay, and we can only judge by this. If they cut corners here, how good can it really be? Now, I know, Dan, you don't care for Ark at all, so it's not a big deal for you. The trailer, which I think we'll have, we just showed, is really bad. It is so obviously AI. It's not good.
We didn't even
It's
get an AI Vin Diesel? What the heck?
no. So that's Ark 2,
Oh,
which
okay.
is not associated now with Ark's Survival Evolved. It's very confusing.
Wait,
I don't know
so
why.
is that still coming or no? That got canceled, right?
They said today or yesterday that it's still on. They're still planning on doing it.
So they're doing
yeah.
we have 3 upcoming games?
Yeah, so they're DLCs.
Okay.
It started with Survival Evolved. That was the base game.
All right.
And then Studio Wildcard kind of rebooted it and made it better for new consoles and new generation consoles, and then called it Survival Ascended. So that's all Studio Wildcard. And then this company, which I didn't even know they were still doing, went back to the old game, and this is a DLC for that old game that they're doing.
What?
I don't know. It's
is
confusing even for me, and I play it all.
Yeah, this is dumpster style level.
Yeah.
This is Xbox Series S, X,
Yes,
and level
absolutely.
of confusion.
That's
Yeah,
a perfect
I'm
example.
I don't know. Like, Malding, tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
But like, are there people clamoring for these DLCs?
Yes. Oh, Arc has a huge
Oh.
user base.
Yeah,
Like
for
lots of
sure.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
There's lots of YouTube channels, lots of streamers. I mean, this game is a lot of fun, and it's a lot of building and it's a
Okay.
community too. So you can come together. Yeah, Dan, shake your head all you want. It's fine. I understand. You don't like good games. So yes, there is a big community here, and to have I'm a little bit of both sides. Like we're not even playing
Right.
Survival Evolved anymore. So who cares if the DLC is coming out for it? We care about that new Studio Wildcard DLC that they just showed in November, coming out in November, and hopefully an Arc 2 coming out. So we're looking towards the future for that stuff, not back to this old game.
Man.
But what do you
This
guys think about a company putting out just a completely AI slop trailer? Like,
well, I
would
gotta
that affect
say,
you guys?
being a fan, like fans of the series, probably have to feel really deflated and insulted because this is. I mean, we always ask for gameplay and these sorts of things, and here's something that
Mhm.
clearly does not represent the product whatsoever. And on top of that, they need to think as a company about who they're talking to. There's gonna, I don't mean to, you know, talk about other communities negatively, but like, okay, if it's a group of soccer moms and you're showing off some mugs that like really warm your tea, if you used AI, they might buy it and not mind. But
Yeah.
here you're talking about the nerdiest of the nerdy, our people who know what AI is capable of and what it can do, and they can spot these sorts of things. That octopus was like the
Oh,
worst I had seen, and there were several telltale marks inside it. And then it was just even a bummer that there was no real footage. I think it's just insulting that they think can talk to their audience. This is not how you talk to your audience. You know, it's just really
agreed. That's
unfortunate
that's
situation.
the fumble. For some reason they don't know their audience, and that makes you say, well, if you don't know your audience, I'm not going to play your game.
Yeah.
Like it feels disrespectful.
I
I
have a
don't know.
feeling it was probably just like a boardroom full of execs and they're just typing into some AI tool and they're like, we can just do the trailer ourselves, right, boys? High five. And
Yeah.
they just like cranked it out, put it on YouTube, and they're like, we don't need a design team. We can
Yep.
save
Yeah.
ourselves, 150K. Like, I just want to know how these kind of things always make me wonder, how do we get to that point? Like, who is
Uh,
QAing? Who is doing anything? Are people doing anything anymore? Like, what
I
happened?
know.
My
Well, look,
guess, an executive saying, I want a bigger bonus. I don't want to pay people down the line any more money. So let's do this on the cheap.
It's
And
yeah.
then
crazy.
it ends up biting them in the ass. That's my
I agree, and this harkens back to like horse armor. It is the public's responsibility, and rightfully, and they've done a great job to push back on this sorts of stuff when this kind of crap gets shoveled out towards us. And like I think in the beginning days of microtransactions, people didn't understand how much and when and how often and what exactly they should be selling. And it's similar with AI. We've got this new tool, this new technology. Everyone's excited about it. What is the correct way to implement it into our workflows? This ain't it.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
Who would have guessed horse armor would have such a ripple effect in the history of gaming and
Right?
everything?
For sure. That's wild and crazy.
Crazy.
Well, speaking of things that gamers might or might not like in their games, we have an article about sex.
Oh,
Mm.
yes, gents. So these kids do not care about romance. Game
Kids
devs
these
want to
days.
know what today's teens want, and surveys say sex and romance isn't it. This is from PC Gamer's Tyler Wild. Who would have guessed PC Gamer would be like all up in
Yeah.
our show today? Surveys say that today's youth are more interested in stories about platonic friendships and social groups than romance and sex. The game developers are taking note of that and other trends in teen media consumption. To a crowd of games industry professionals at Dice Summit last week, TV executive turned game studio founder Sharon Talguado and Roblox VP of Civility and Partnerships Tammy Blumick spoke about what teens want, presenting recent research and their observations. In UCLA's 2024 Teens and Screens report, adolescents were surveyed about what they want to see in media, and romance and or sex came in 15th out of 21 options.
Okay, I gotta know. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you're
What
good.
are the age and what is the demographic of this stuff? Because I am horrified that people aren't interested in sex and romance.
Great question. I'm sure there was so much to this article. I just wanted to get to the meat of it, so we're just gonna
Yeah.
have to take this with an old fashioned grain of salt. So it's opposite. Content that doesn't include sex or romance came in 8th place. Friendships and social groups came in 5th. So, gents, can you imagine a world without sex, romance in your games? Like, what is happening
I
here?
think
This is
we're already
very
kind
interesting
of
stuff.
living that way because it's pretty sex free. But it's the sex phobia I have a problem with. And so
Yes.
it didn't say the demographics of it. Like, I'm guessing, like, were these young kids? Because they don't need to be talking about the sex. But if it's like over 18, then it's like, come
I
on.
think it
Well,
was. It was. It was like
okay.
teens, 18 to something. It was in that
So they
range. I
were
probably
over
should have pulled
18.
that one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It was
Interesting.
like in that range.
That
Here, let
is,
me
it's not surprising to me at all if that's the case, because if
pulling
you
up
even
the
look at Twitter, a lot of it's not just with video games. People on kids or the youth on Twitter talk a lot about how they're not interested in seeing sex in movies and television. They get kind of offended by it. So it would be no surprise to me that they would feel the same about it in video games as well. I do remember that one scene in God of War, one of the early ones. He has the orgy with the girls, and they're
Yeah,
all
that's in
like,
every one. That's a hallmark of the series. Perverts like
correct.
me look for it in every single game.
Absolutely. When I first played it, I'm like, my God, this is really silly. And I felt silly doing it. But I still
Yes.
want that, but I still want my Baldur's Gate, man. They handled it so well, like literal sex acts happening there. And it did not feel, it felt really organic, and it made me feel like the game was real, with even though you're dealing with fantasy and all that kind of stuff. There was something that made it better. And I want these kids to experience that a little bit more, I guess.
Or maybe they can make it optional because I agree with you, Molding. Like, I like adult themes. It doesn't even have to be sex, just adult
No, yeah.
themes, whether it's morality or anything like that. I like those adult subjects in my games because, like you said, it makes me feel a little bit more mature. I relate more to it. But I am not super, super surprised by this because I am on Reddit pretty much all the time. And they have this whole like term where if someone makes a horny comment, they have like a meme where they bust out the dog with the
the
police
horny
outfit, and then
police.
they're like,
Oh yeah.
"Horny police." Yes, they bust out horny police, and I'm like, okay, that I'm not. I don't know the ages of these people, so I'm not judging. I just move on or whatever. But I do see that, so it's like, man, you're right. I see this. I see these people reacting this way, and it's shocking. But because I think of myself when I was young, and let's just say I don't know, I was not puritanical, that's for sure. And if they want to be that way, that's great, more power to them. But I just think we need options here, and not to throw the nookie out with the
Okay.
bathwater.
Just something that I thought was interesting. So, friendship and social groups is what these kiddos are interested in. And what this reminds me of, it seems like anime is really rubbing off on these kids because that is like an
Rubbing off.
anime.
I
Yeah,
know.
exactly. These guys getting rubbing off on it's like it's crazy to me that I feel like this anime craze is like that is such a big anime trope, like friendship, social settings, like being,
Yeah.
and it's interesting. I think that is, I would love to know like where it is stemming from. And that was like the first thing I was like, maybe it's like an anime sort of like, are the teens are really into anime right now? Like maybe that is a
I
big
think
push for it.
I think it's something in the culture. I think it's something about social media. These kids growing up being more secluded. Maybe they're in their rooms on their phones more than being out hanging out with other teens. Like I think it's something deep in society that is expressing itself here more
You
than
could be onto
anything else.
something. It could be because they're on these devices. Sex is so in their face and so accessible, and they can
Oh,
get it
maybe
anytime they
that's a
want.
good call.
When I was a kid, let's just
Yep.
say I had to work very hard to find the Playboys under my dad's mattress, and you had to do it at a certain
Yes.
time when they weren't going to be home, and it was like this whole like espionage secret mission, and like
Skinamax, you'd be able to catch it a little bit in the fuzz of the
yeah,
television.
when you change
Mhm.
the channel, so you change
Yep.
back and forth to see if you
Mhm.
could catch a boob.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
We worked really hard to be perverts, and now it's like you can. I think it's so in their face. Maybe this is their reaction
Oh,
to this.
wow,
That's
that's such a good point.
interesting. Yeah,
Such a
that's
good point.
wild.
I think that's very true. I mean, you're right. There's just
Like, why see
nonstop.
sex in video games if you can just Google it, like,
Yep.
immediately and it's on your
Yep.
phone?
Very true. Huh. Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
is
yep.
seeing it, online and seeing it on their phone, is it making the real act awkward for them? And are they more awkward because
Mm.
they've seen something graphic and they don't know how to work with that? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel like we're about to see a downturn in any romance in the games, unfortunately,
Boo!
gents, which is
Boo!
really too bad. So we'll see what happens, coming in 2025. We'll see the downturn because I'm assuming Witcher 4 is going to have its same sort of,
Yeah.
I think there are some of
Romance
these games that
options.
are gonna
yes.
keep it in no matter what. You got
I
your
I
Witcher. I mean, GTA is gonna be filled with boobs and strip clubs and all that kind of
God
stuff.
willing.
Like, I think
Yeah.
I think some of these games are gonna keep it in.
I
Yeah.
hope so.
Interesting. Well, we're running out of time, so I want to touch on one more story, and this is something that I would love for more video games to include, and I'll try and get through it as fast as possible because I want to get your reaction. But this is Split Fiction players complete a super secret level and win an awesome prize, and this is by our friend Zach Sweezen at Kotaku. I am currently playing Split Fiction and I'm absolutely loving it. And I think this is such a cool story. Basically, the article says a super secret and hard level hidden in Split Fiction, so difficult that only a few players and devs could either overcome it, has been completed by a pair of speedrunners. Their reward, a free trip to Sweden to get a sneak peek at Hazelight's next game. Earlier this week, players discovered a super secret challenge area in one of Split Fiction's later levels. Previously, Joseph Ferris had hinted that something was very challenging and secret was in the game. To access this hidden area, players needed to input a binary sequence in using two large buttons inside an elevator, and once they've done that, they were taken to an area made up of 5 challenging platform sections filled with deadly red lasers. This area has become known as Laser Hell and is extremely hard to complete as you have to finish all 5 sections without either player dying. As spotted by Games Radar on March 17th, 2 speedrunners from China recorded themselves beating Laser Hell. This is believed to be the first successful completion of the secret area. Others have since pulled this off as well. Once you complete Laser Hell, you're rewarded with a short video of Split Fiction director Joseph Ferris congratulating you and your co-op partner for beating the harrowing laser-filled gauntlet. And on March 19th, Ferris tweeted that Shark OVO and E1U May had seemingly proved to the director that they pulled off this feat and had earned the flight to Sweden. He's tweeted them a congratulations, but also said that he would keep his promise, but also said that he wouldn't let them talk about what they had seen. Either way, though, super cool that the developers interested in this, inserted in this game. I know last week and the week before we were kind of like, Split Fiction, I don't know if it's me. I've picked it up. It is fantastic, and I hate to say it this early, but it could be a contender for Game of the Year. It is that good. I liked It Takes Two a lot and was a huge champion of that. But this game is even better. Well, it just takes more of it and distills it down, and it's such a great co-op experience. So if you have a close co-op partner, this game's only $45-$50. I highly recommend you pick it up. But just back to the point here, I think that it is so cool that it's like a Ready Player One situation with the egg and like they had to go to the different worlds. It's like I effing love that they included this in this game, and I want more developers to be in touch with their community this way and include these sorts of secrets. What do you guys think? What's your reaction?
Great idea. And it just kind of gives me back in the day when GTA 4 came out, when you like beat that, you got like a key to the city. Remember when Rockstar gave that out way back? This is like
No,
This
not
is
at
a
all.
crazy, like, and you're right. This is something that should be for, I think every new game should have some secret that then can be applied to the real world. Like winning a trip for just doing a little speed runners, like, which is incredible. Speed running is crazy and mind blowing, but it's like that is such a cool thing. I really love when video games have like a real world reward, and it just like makes you want to play it.
I think GTA 5 also had a crazy Easter egg thing with like a UFO on one of the mountains, on one of the main mountains. I think there was
Oh
something
yeah,
there.
something.
Yeah, Dan, you took it right out of what I was thinking is Ready Player One. That real world reward for completing something in game is very cool, and I think more developers should put that in if they're able to. I think that's a fun thing.
I
Agreed.
agree. Yeah, so fun story. Does this make you guys interested in trying the game out at all? Or no? This is just not for
No.
you.
I'm
The
not a
studio
co-op
head.
player. That isn't really. It's
I
not
was gonna
my
say
thing.
that and the studio head. It's a combination of things that are
Yeah,
gonna.
he's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it's just like
But I love that it's great. That's super fun. Maybe it's just because I don't have a friend to play it with. Maybe that's where I'm
Oh,
losing
I'll play
out.
it with you, buddy. It is that good, and since I own it, you don't need the friend pass. But we'll talk
Oh,
about that.
sweet. Perfect.
It's worth checking out because it is truly great. Um,
Nice.
but that pretty much wraps up all the headlines. Let's jump into the listener emails of the week. It's time for the emails of the week. If you want to suggest a topic, feel free to hit us up at goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com. First up, Lord, you got a topic for
I
us.
did. I've been playing a lot of multiplayer games lately, so I had this one. What multiplayer game will you be playing on your deathbed? And I know it's kind of morbid, but I think this kind of also goes back to that segment. You're playing the game for so long, so I was really interested in hearing what you guys had to say. Malding, why don't you take it away?
Mine has got to be Dead by Daylight. It's one of the only multiplayer co-op ish type of games that I can even stand, and I still keep it on my console. I want to be able to pick it up and play it whenever I feel like it, and whenever I do, for the next week, I'm playing that game. Like it hooks me. See what I did there? It hooks me in and keeps me engaged for a week or two. And then maybe I fall out because a new game comes out, and then they put in some rockin' DLC that I want to try out, and I spend the $8 or whatever, and I'm able to play as Chucky for a little bit, and like that loop just repeats. So maybe that loop will repeat until I'm in the retirement home and still hunting dudes down on Dead by Daylight. So that's my choice.
It's a
How
good
about you,
one. I
Dan?
love that game. Um, I think I hate to be generic. Well, let me give a shout out
You're
and
so
say
good at
Mario
it.
Party. Yeah, let me give a quick shout out to Mario Party. I think that's a franchise that's been around forever, and I've bought every single one. And honestly, it is the same game, and I keep following it, and I keep making guys play. And we should have another live stream too. But really, I think my answer, and I hate to be generic, is Fortnite. I think that that game is fantastic. And before you tell me I'm crazy, I have already completed the season pass, but one of the reasons why is because they have so many different modes for me to jump in. They're constantly reinventing the game, of course, but then they've got all those little experiences and things like that, and that's what keeps me coming back, because it's constantly reinventing itself, and I hope it stays on the path and gets even better. They are getting a little aggressive with the microtransactions, but I'm still in it for the fun on the main levels.
Nice. Yeah, Fortnite, I think, has the legs to go all the way. Mine does too, because I have to say, I think Counter-Strike 2, theoretically, it's one of the games that I think will just keep going, keep going. It's going to be one of the games that I feel like I could see myself out there trying to play this Twitch shooter as like a super old guy, like one of those like old person teams. And I really have been enjoying the heck out of that game and playing with like 5 other buddies late night, like the kids are asleep. It's just like it kind of just throws it back, and it's seriously not really changed at all since I was playing on the family e-machine back in, early 90s. So it's a good time. I see myself playing that one for
Well,
forever.
keep effing that chicken,
That's
bro. That's a good
awesome.
one.
Yeah.
That pretty much wraps up everything we have for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on a podcast, please tell like 22 friends. And on behalf of Matthew Moulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thank you for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.